Hello everyone, the purpose of this video is to talk you through the viewpoint writing section of the English language GCSE. So this is paper 2, section B. You might have already gone over paper 1, which is the creative writing, which gives you a picture for you to do a piece of kind of descriptive or narrative writing. This is the other paper's piece of writing that you have to do as part of your English language GCSE. So I'm just going to talk you through it, give you some useful tips, and hopefully it'll only take about 10 minutes and you'll have a good understanding of what this element of the GCSE is. So I'm going to start by showing you this and just briefly mentioning it. So we've got this guidance at the top, it's always the same, this bit. You're advised to spend about 45 minutes on this section, write in full sentences. You're reminded of the need to plan your answer. You should leave enough time to check your work at the end. So I'll come back to that kind of bit of information there. What it then says, it's question 5. We get a statement, so it says homework has no value. Some students get it done for them, some don't do it at all. Students should be relaxing in their free time. And then it says write an article for a broadsheet newspaper in which you explain your point of view on this statement. And you've got the marks here, which I'll go through in a minute. It's worth 40 marks. So we'll start with that then. Do yourself a title in your book. I'll leave that there so that you can see it. So do yourself a title, GCSE Viewpoint Writing. And if you want to include it underneath, just to help you out, it's paper 2, section B. I was about to write A then. So let's just underline that. Okay. So the first thing, as I've already mentioned, is that it is worth 40 marks. We'll start with that, which means it accounts for 25%, a quarter of your whole GCSE in English language. So it's really important that you know how to do this, that you know how to plan it properly, and that you know how to answer the question. Another piece of information that it gives you at the top, you're meant to spend 45 minutes on it. Now, from that 45 minutes is the final 45 minutes of paper 2, so you do an hour on the section A and then you do 45 minutes on this. Now, what's interesting about this one, you may have noticed in comparison to the paper 1, where you get the picture, is on paper 1 you get a picture, but you get 2 choices of tasks. With this one, as you can see, there is no choice, or let's say there's one option, which means that you get given one topic. Now, this one's about homework. It can be to do with absolutely anything. They try and make it something relevant to teenagers. So they've had one of the GCSEs was to do with parenting. One of them was to do with sports and how it's changing. It might do something about celebrities. It might be something about behaviour in schools. But essentially you'll get one topic and you have to write on that topic regardless of how interested in it you are. And you also get given one form for the piece of writing. So in this example, it's an article. You might be asked to write a speech, maybe a blog, maybe a letter as well, those sorts of things. And you have to write the one that you're given. There's no option again with that. So out of those 45 minutes, you would be expected to spend about 5 minutes planning, which is going to be another video coming up on how to do that, and one kind of style of planning which works for any question. You're going to spend probably about 30 to 35 minutes writing. And then 5 minutes checking and editing, and that leaves you with potentially a few minutes to check over your other answers if you want to. So the thing about this question is it's not so much the same as the as the literature essays, where you've got to go into detail to get the higher marks. With this, what we're looking for is 4 quality paragraphs. And it's about quality, not quantity, which I mentioned in the other video about the creative writing. It's really about thinking really carefully about your craft, your writing style, and all the things that you're going to write in it. Now, I'm going to very quickly just go through the mark scheme again. You would have gone through this if you'd done paper 1 before, but some people watching this video might not have done, so I'm going to go through it anyway. So, as it says here, the marks, the 40 marks, is split into 24 and 16. Okay, so just to make it clear what that's for, 24 marks, as it says, is for your content and organisation. So your content is quite easy, it's what you write. Okay, so this is the ideas that you have. This is the vocabulary you use. This is the language devices you use. Now, when you do a piece of creative writing, descriptive writing, creative writing, you're more likely to use things like similes or metaphors or personification. Now, those may have a place in a piece of viewpoint writing, and you might read an article and see a metaphor in there. But more common to this type of writing is things like rhetorical questions or imperative verbs or repetition, statistics. So you're kind of shaping the devices and the vocabulary you use based on the piece of text you have to write. Now, your structure is obviously to do with the paragraphing you use. If you don't use paragraphs on this piece of creative writing, you're going to really struggle to get a pass. And with the paragraphs, it's like the way you link them. Do they make sense? Are they in a good order? We use a cyclical structure in the piece of creative writing. There's a way you can do that as well on this piece. So when I go through, in another video, when I go through the planning style, the way that's constructed is to help you to try and get a cyclical narrative in and to get links, because it can be quite hard to get structural devices into an article. And then the other thing that you're marked on is your 16 marks, which are for technical accuracy. Now, this is the thing that people often dislike about a piece of creative writing. This is your SPAG, so your spelling, punctuation, and your grammar. So spelling is easy, it's what you write. Punctuation is not only getting things right, it's trying to use a range of punctuation. Can you use a colon, a semicolon, a dash, a question mark? So if you get a rhetorical question in, you're thinking of a language device and you're starting to vary your punctuation. Grammar is to do with obviously your sentences. Have you used standard English? Is part of your technical accuracy as well. Trying to vary your sentences in terms of their length and the structure. Please do not start every sentence the. It gets boring, it's boring to read, it's going to be boring for an examiner who has to sit through 200 people writing about homework, and if every single thing they read starts with the reason I don't like homework is because it's boring, they're not going to be hooked in. So the next video that I'm going to do for you is going to be about a planning style, and I advise you watch that and use some of the structures in it to make sure your writing doesn't become too repetitive. Hopefully that's helpful. It's a pretty simple question really. The real skill with it is knowing how to address it and how to plan it. But it's really easy to write a question like this yourself and just come up with a statement that's maybe a little bit controversial, and then you write a speech about it. So it's really easy to revise. Hopefully that made sense, and maybe see you in the next video where we go through the planning structure.